All right, so this is going to be our review of AEW Revolution pay-per-view that was Sunday, March 6th, 2022. So the opener, Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston wins. Then Chris Jericho said that he will shake his hand and be like have some sort of respect for him. Like, okay. Um, so Kingston hit a half and half suplex on Jericho and he landed right on the top of his head. I don't know if you caught that. That
Yeah,
was
yeah. I
pretty
think I
scary.
messaged you that saying like, "Oh, hey, the opener might end a bit earlier than expected."
Yeah, that was I don't know if that was planned or not, but damn, he landed right on top of his head. There were very loud fuck him up, Eddie chants, and I got into that too. Just like singing that as I just did right now here when I was watching it. So Eddie was targeting the neck of Jericho, and Jericho was targeting they on commentary they said the orbital bone. It was basically the eye of Kingston, and they both start chopping the shit out of each other, and Jericho ends up exposing the turnbuckle really early on, so you knew that was going to end up being like a big turning point in the match. Um, so this is something new that we're doing called the spot of the match. This was when my spot of the match happened, where Jericho suplexes Kingston from the apron onto the floor. Like Jericho's 50, Kingston is 40. So that's my reason for having a spot of the match, and like nothing else really was I guess as crazy as that spot in particular. Jericho did give Kingston some nasty German suplexes. With the last one, it looked like Kingston was landed on the top of his head too. Like they kept landing on their heads. It was very scary.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, it didn't really take away from the match because we seen that they were okay, but I felt that it was very close to going wrong, like more than one occasion throughout the match.
yep. So Jericho hits Lion Salt from more than halfway across the ring. Only gets a two. He locks in the walls of Jericho. Um, he starts to get in a scuffle with Aubrey since Kingston didn't tap. And then Kingston hits Jericho with I forgot what the name of his finisher was, but it's like the spinning back fist. Gets a 2.9 count on it. Jericho hits Codebreaker, very slow to count in my opinion. So Jericho hits another Codebreaker, goes for Judas effect, and then this is when Jericho misses and he hits his arm on the exposed turnbuckle. Then Kingston hits his finisher twice on Jericho, and then he locks in the stretch plum. This I think this is the first time I've seen him use it in
First time I've seen
AEW.
it.
Yeah, I don't know if he's used that in the on the indie scene, but he uses a stretch plum and he's focusing the arm that Jericho hit against the turnbuckle. Stretches it three times, Jericho taps, and then Kingston is basically like almost in tears for some reason for beating Jericho. And then Kingston tells Jericho that he respects him and to shake his hand, and Jericho just looks at him and then he can't bring himself to do it and just walks away without shaking his hand. Match went like 18, 20 minutes. It was a fun opener.
Yeah, I thought
Was
it
it
was fun. Maybe went a little too long, but overall, I thought it was fun. Really happy to see Eddie win the big one. Was just surprised with the ending with that submission. I mean, as I think we both said when we were watching, he probably used it in the indies, and we just probably didn't see it before. But otherwise, yeah, it was a fun, hard hitting match from both guys.
You can definitely make a story out of that because Kingston forced Jericho to tap out,
Yeah, I think they'll
and then
definitely be
that's
continuing it.
yeah. They're definitely gonna continue that. I was surprised Kingston actually won. I thought they were gonna have Jericho win and then prolong it that way until Kingston was finally able to get the big win. But no, they just had Kingston win early. I mean, it doesn't detract from the match. I thought it was a very fine match. It was a fun opener. Got the crowd ready, so it did its job. Next up, we got the triple threat for the World Tag Team Championship: Young Bucks versus Red Dragon versus Jurassic Express. So it's Jungle Boy and Kyle Riley start off the match, and I'm gonna just go on a little tangent here. Pet peeve: it's a triple threat match. I don't know like why you need to tag in like in that way. Like only two people can be in the match, and like you have to like. I don't. It's just so weird to me. Like that triple threat tag team match where you have to like somehow get yourself to tag in when you're one of the teams starting on the outside just is so weird. But whatever. So Bobby Fish was just jaw jacking with Luchasaurus like in the early stages, and I thought it was really funny.
I had no idea why Fish was so loud the entire
Like
like beginning of the match. That's all I heard him like almost as loud as commentary.
it was so funny. He's just Fish is just naturally loud, and he's right near the cameras, like the other cameras are walking around, so his voice just gets picked up. It's just funny to me.
It was weird, and I just heard what was it, Luchasaurus talking about his master's degree, and Fish was like, "No, I'm calling Jungle Boy an idiot."
Dude, they're trolls. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean it was
Um,
funny, but it distracted a little bit from what was going on.
yeah, I mean, I wrote it down because that was just too funny to me. All right, so Luchasaurus tags in, chops the shit out of everyone. Jungle Boy wipes out all four with like a dive over the top rope. Um, the Bucks double team Jungle Boy, and then they do that spot where they're I think it's Nick is the one that's holding him up on the ropes, and then Matt just the senton to wipe him out. So they did that spot. Um, Matt pins Jungle Boy, and then Kyle O'Reilly comes in and breaks it up, and he's just like, "Come on, we got to beat him up some more. Like, t tag me in or whatever," which was like the plan or whatnot. So Matt tags in Kyle O'Reilly, and then he does his moves, and then he pins Jungle Boy, and then Matt breaks that up. And then he's just like, "Come on, man! I thought we had an agreement." And then you see Kyle go, I forgot." And then he's like, "Don't worry, I'll tag you in." And then walks over to the corner and he's just like, "Yeah, no, I'm not tagging you." And then he goes ahead and then turns around, tags in Bobby Fish, and it's like, all right, so their alliance their ends at that moment, I thought. Um, the Bucks end up blind tagging themselves in. Kyle O'Reilly inadvertently kicks Matt Jackson off the apron. Um, Luchasaurus is able to make a hot tag and he goes wild. Uh, so I think Nick Jackson jumps onto the top rope, is gonna do a move onto Luchasaurus, but Luchasaurus grabs him by the throat to stop it, and then Nick slaps his arm away and then hits him with a Canadian Destroyer from the top rope, which would have been my spot of the match if something else didn't take place. But Luchasaurus ends up chokeslamming everyone. Jurassic Express hits a modified Doomsday device onto, I think, one of the Bucks. I can't remember. Matt Jackson inadvertently super kicks Bobby Fish now. So then we have the Young Bucks and the Red Dragon are fighting each other, and then everyone just ends up hitting each other with their moves, and they're all down. Red Dragon do hit Juggle Boy with an assisted DDT into a high German. Fish hits an avalanche exploder onto Jungle Boy, and then he does a diving knee onto Jungle Boy's knee, and then locks in a heel hook. And Matt Jackson drops an elbow to break up the submission. So then here comes the spot of the match for me, and also you told me as well that this was your spot of the match. Kyle O'Reilly has Luchasaurus in a guillotine, like a standing guillotine, and then Jungle Boy climbs up to the top rope and does a shooting star press and lands on top of Kyle O'Reilly, who's got a standing guillotine on Luchasaurus to break up the submission. I was just like, holy crap. Everyone went crazy for that spot. That was an insane spot. I got pumped just watching that. I got so hyped.
And it didn't even
Uh,
end with
yeah,
that.
it doesn't even end with that. Um, Red Dragon hits Jungle Boy with the belt and he kicks out at two because like getting hit with the belt doesn't matter anymore. Uh, they they double super kick Jungle Boy and then Kyle O'Reilly pile drives him. Bucks wipe out everyone. They hit the BT trigger on Jungle Boy, but Kyle O'Reilly breaks up the pin. The Bucks get mad. They throw everyone out. They try to go for more bang for your buck to end it. And then here's another, could have been spot of the match, but the other one was just too good. Jungle Boy counters more bang for your buck, jumps up, hits a Hurricanrana on Nick Jackson. And then as Jungle Boy is falling down from the Hurricanrana, he picks up Matt Jackson and hits a German suplex on him. And it was like all in like one motion. It was so cool to see. Luchasaurus wipes out everyone, and they end up hitting Thoracic Express on Matt Jackson for the win.
It was really fun, pretty messy, but overall, I'll say it got me pumped. I'd say I really like the psychology of Young Bucks and Red Dragon really wanting to work together in the beginning, but you knew they were going to turn eventually. But overall, I'm willing to say really fun. Just too much of everyone in the ring together because I kind of agree with what you said in the beginning about the triple threat needing to tag in. Like, why would you ever get close to the team that's not automatically in and just get your team out? So if you don't have a legal man, you're never gonna win. But like that rule was like not enforced throughout any of the match, where anybody could be in at any time. But yeah,
It's just really not needed, I think. Like, just have a. I mean, they did a Tornado Trios match. Like, I mean, I guess because they wanted to be different, but this was practically the same thing, except it was with three teams and not two.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I just don't like that idea. Like, the match itself was like, it was one of my favorite matches of the night. And well, I mean, almost all these matches were pretty good except for one, which we'll get to.
We'll
I
get
think
to
you
that.
know which one it is.
It's pretty soon, not the next one, but pretty soon. We just talked about this. But also, props to Jungle Boy for taking so much shit throughout the entire match. Like, when we say there were a lot of people in the ring, it was mostly everyone in the ring getting their shit in on Jungle Boy. Like, we mentioned before, he's the one who got, like, the belt to the head. He had to take the high low from Red Dragon and kicks out from still everything.
Jungle Boy, like everyone gets the heat on Jungle Boy. He's like he's such a he's a baby face in the sense that like you beat him up and you want to cheer for him to make that hot tag to Luchasaurus.
Yeah, yeah, and they did do a lot of hot tags for Luchasaurus to come in and just like wreck the other teams. But yeah, still a lot of good like flippy shit throughout the match. I really like the spot you mentioned with the guillotine and then the shooting star press by Jungle Boy on Kyle O'Reilly. And then I think it was
Oh.
Nick Jackson. He did like a 450 something, like right after that.
Yeah, they did a senton right after to break up the pin.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was such a good sequence. I like this match a lot. It was a very, very good match. Right. So next up, ladder match determined the new number one contender for TNT title. I put this down. My early prediction was Wardlow probably wins. And then I put this because I thought it was funny. Ricky Starks on the back of his jersey had Stroke Daddy. It just made me laugh. So it starts off with all the three Hosses in the ring. And then Orange Cassidy just joins in the middle and then he does his like super kick gimmick thing. And then Wardlow and Hobbs try to attack him and they both miss. And then Keith Lee is holding both of them and Orange Cassidy climbs up and tries to reach for the ring, but obviously that's never gonna work and then he gets thrown off. Um, Orange Cassidy does end up putting his hands in his pocket, and then as a little joke here, I was just like, Orange Cassidy has entered a new dimension with his hands in his pocket. And he starts to climb the ladder with no hands. That's, dude, that gimmick is so dumb. I don't know what else to say. It makes me laugh, but it's so dumb. Cage hits a reverse DDT on Hobbs from the middle of the ladder. They did that spot where like Christian Cage is looking at someone because he's gonna spear them, and then Keith Lee just pops up on the screen, and you see like this big ass bear just like pop up, and he starts grabbing Christian
It's
Cage.
just like when
I think
Jaws shows up, like out of nowhere.
yeah, so they did that spot, which I thought was pretty amusing. I mean, they did it back in WWE, and they did it here too. Um, Keith Lee uses Orange Cassidy as a battering ram on everyone. Then you have Keith or Wardlow and Keith Lee face off, and then Hobbs rams them both with a ladder, and then Hobbs and Starks each give each other a handshake, and then they both race to the top, only for Orange Cassidy to throw both of them off. And this was my spot of the match. Orange Cassidy has the ladder like his head is like between the rungs of the ladder, and then he's spinning the ladder and hitting everyone with it. And then Keith Lee and Wardlow pick up the ladder with Cassidy's head still in the rungs, and he's just hanging now. And then he lifts himself up onto the top of the ladder and then starts reaching, and he's like his fingertips are on the ring, and you just hear the crowd go, "Oh!" And then I was also like, "Whoa!" And then they crotch him, and I was just like, "Ooh!" Just right after that, Hobbs ends up hitting a delayed vertical suplex, superplex on Orange Cassidy. Cage spears Hobbs onto the ladder, and then this was very close to my spot of the match as well. Was Ricky Starks is on the top rope, and there's a ladder that's like in between him and Christian Cage, and he jumps through the ladder and spears Christian Cage. I thought that was a great visual. Uh, let's see. Wardlow throws Starks off the ladder and in like a pretty weird way, and then Wardlow starts to climb, and then Starks and Orange Cassidy both jump on his back, and he's still climbing with both of them on his back. All six men are on two ladders now, and then it ends up just being Hobbs and Wardlow left. They both grab for the ring, and then they both end up falling, and then Wardlow landed pretty awkwardly when he went down. Um, all three hosses are back in the ring, just like from the start. And Orange Cassidy just lying on the mat. And Keith Lee just chucks the shit out of Orange Cassidy straight into Starks and Christian Cage. And Hobbs somehow just like goes flying over the top rope on my screen. Wardlow's the only one in the ring, and instead of trying to win, he just goes on the outside. Wardlow and Hobbs start double teaming Keith Lee, and then they run towards like the top of the stage where there is a ladder set up over there, and they break apart that ladder. And then Hobbs just starts hitting everyone with the ladder, or at least Wardlow and Keith Lee with the ladder. And then as Hobbs and Lee are fighting near the announce desk, Wardlow just comes out of nowhere and he pushes both of them off the stage and through tables, so that leaves both of them out. Um, they ended up setting up a ladder bridge during that time. Danhausen makes his cameo, comes in, launches a curse onto Starks, and Starks ends up. Well, I don't know what ended up happening to Starks, but I have here Wardlow powerbombs Christian Cage. And then as Starks is climbing for the ring, Wardlow jumps onto that ladder bridge without like just straight jump onto it. And then he power bombs Ricky Starks on the ladder bridge. It looks like Starks died. And
Yeah.
that was definitely the curse of Danhausen right there. And then Wardlow grabs the ring and wins. And I put 17:32 was the time that I had written down.
Yeah,
Definitely some good moments, I think, in the match. Definitely some weird moments in the match as well. They really beat the crap out of Orange Cassidy.
yeah.
Uh,
Orange Cassidy
yeah.
was definitely like the best parts of this match. I would say that there were good parts overall, like good spots overall. Like I really like the Ricky Stark spear to Christian
Mhm.
Cage through the ladder. I really like them throwing Orange Cassidy or Keith Lee throwing Orange Cassidy out like just like a sack of potatoes. And what Orange Cassidy was able to do when he just like flipped himself over the ladder, the horizontal ladder, and just started like hopping up for the ring. I thought those were all like really cool moments, but I still feel like I'm just gonna say like I wasn't as big a fan of this match as I thought I was gonna be, just because I felt like there was like a lot of stalling throughout the match. Like I didn't really get the point where they needed to go all the way up the ramp to get that other ladder, and just to like get Lee and Hobbs out of the match by having Wardlow push them off. And there were just some like other kind of like awkward moments throughout the match in between like the cool spots, but overall it wasn't a bad match per se.
Yeah. it definitely wasn't the best, and it definitely wasn't the worst. It was I think it did its job fine. That like you hit it itself. Like there were some bad moments and some good moments. I I enjoyed the good moments. Like those were very well done good moments to me. And the bad moments weren't as bad. They were just like why kind of like there's not
Yeah,
like no
yeah,
logic to it. It was just I guess to like get the spot going, but like it was all right. Like
yeah.
it definitely wasn't the worst thing. It was what happened next was the worst thing.
Definitely. Well, actually, one thing I want to bring up before we get to that is, as much as I like the horizontal ladder Orange Cassidy spot, I was kind of laughing when I seen them gently place down the ladder. Like, I was thinking in any situation, I think it was like Wardlow and Lee were holding the ladder. I was just like, in any other situation, they just like drop it and have Orange Cassidy come down and like probably break an ankle or
Well,
something. But I was
yeah,
like,
that's not the safe way to bring him down.
it's
But
not the
like I
safe
do
way.
remember the commentators were just like, just drop the ladder. Like, why are they still holding it?
Yeah,
And then like,
yeah. That was just like an awkward moment, like right after a good spot, and I was just like, I was like such in the moment, but then like right out of the moment, and kind of summarizes this match. But overall, I'm willing to say the good spots outweigh the awkward spots. For
just
it was an
tilting the
all right
ladder.
match.
Like I think tilting the ladder is fine too. And then
Yeah,
Cassidy could just take a bump on his back.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But overall, also really happy to see Wardlow win, like get his big singles win.
yeah, it's like face turn complete for Wardlow, or
Yeah.
at least not yet
Well, we get
in
into
the
that
pay
later
per
in the
view. But
night.
yeah, so they have a contract for Shane Strickland. Who'd you think it was again? Oh yeah, you told me
I
it's Jeff
thought
Hardy.
it was Jeff
I'm just like,
Hardy.
yeah, no, I was just like, there's no way that's Jeff Hardy. Like,
Y-
if anything, I was like, he probably pops up in like the trios. I don't think this is Jeff Hardy.
I thought it was just because of like the tribute for the ladder match, just because like it was right after the ladder match, so I thought, oh, maybe Jeff Hardy, but it was Swerve, and I mean, yeah, we already knew he was coming to AEW.
Yeah.
We heard of the rumors, so I mean, happy to see him come to AEW, but not that much of a surprise.
Swerve, let's say, was more over here than the next match, which was Ty Conte versus Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship. Oh man, this was atrocious. This was so awful. Do I even want to go into like so much detail on it? It was like I put here like the only spot I could Jade Cargill smooch Ty Conte right on the lips. I was like, that was the only genuine excitement I got. It was so bad. Or I guess if you want to include Ty Conte jumped off the top rope onto the floor and wiped out Mark Sterling in very early on. But I mean, that was like Sterling wasn't really doing anything, so I didn't understand the reason why that they would do that so early. And then Anna Jay hit Jade Cargill with a chair when the referee was distracted, and I'm just like, they're both baby faces. Why are they doing
It
that?
didn't even look
Like,
like Aubrey was distracted. Like the camera wasn't on her. Like when Jay got hit with the chair, I thought like the ref just seen it and just let it go because the match was already
yeah,
so awkward.
I say distracted, but like, yeah, no, they butchered that one so bad. But like, I don't understand why baby faces are doing that. It's not like Jade Cargill even brought the chair to begin with. It was like Anna Jay brought the chair from the start and then just hit her in the head with it. Like, what? Like, you're both baby faces. Why are you doing that to the heel?
It
And it only
was.
got a 2 count anyway, so
Oh yeah,
well,
I
fuck
remember.
that. Like,
That wasn't even the finish.
and then Tay, this one this one got me too. So Tay hits her finisher, which is like the Tay DT or whatever, and it only got a 2 count. And then you see Ty Conti's face, and she's so shocked. It's like, this was my finisher. Like, I can't believe it won. And then the commentators didn't even realize that was her finisher, and they're just like, only gets a two. And they're just like, they weren't like as shocked as she was. Like, because normally the commenters be like, "I can't believe they kicked out of that." Like they were just like, "Yeah, only a two there or whatever." And then Ty Conti is like shocked because it's the finish, and she just kicked out. I was like, "Oh man, this is already bad." Jade hit the ugliest spinning slam, but it has such a cool name. She like they called it the Eye of the Storm. I'm just like, wow, that's such a good name for such a lame fucking move.
Yeah.
She go and I mean, at least she did the frog splash fine. Ty Conti hits a pile driver on Jade Cargill, and she still kicks out. Crowd was dead. Like they did not like this match at all. Ty Conti's on the top rope. Jade Cargill picks her up and then hits her with Jada, gets the win. It was 6 minutes too long in a 6 minute 53 second match.
Yeah, every like maneuver looked clunky. Jade kept on going for her finisher throughout the match, but it never looked like a natural like reversal of what Ty was doing. And then just like the booking was completely off with like the baby face was attacking the manager who wasn't doing anything and hitting the opponent with the steel chair.
Oh man, that was I just want to forget about that one. That by far won worst match of the night.
Yeah,
Like
hey, let's move on to what I consider probably my favorite match of the night.
yeah. I wouldn't say this one was my favorite, but this was definitely up there. And like this like I mean most of the matches were good except for like couple, but this CM Punk versus MJF in a dog collar match. And Punk came out to his old Ring of Honor theme. I never heard of it before, but the entire crowd was going crazy. So they were very, very hyped for it. The graphic also said for CM Punk seeking to avenge his poor loss to MJF. I was like, wow, that's such a bad way to word that one.
Yeah.
So MJF can't run away. And like they tease MJF trying to run away, and each time Punk just pulls him back. Um, So Punk is basically just like beating on MJF in the corner. But MJF gains control, whips and starts to whip Punk with the chain. And I cringed when I heard that because like those were very loud thuds that they were making. Like like they definitely got some scars from that one. Like it sounded awful, and I'm pretty sure it hurt just as bad. Punk got busted open very early on. MJF grabs a mic and tells Punk, "Tell these people you want to quit, just like how you quit on me." You hear CM Punk just say, "Eat shit, Max." That made me laugh. And then that also ended up getting a bunch of "eat shit" chants,
That
which was
was
pretty funny.
that was almost spot of the match.
I didn't put that one down as my spot of the match because, like, I mean, a lot happened here.
Yeah, yeah.
But MJF goes to the top rope, starts to talk more smack, and then Punk just yanks him off, which I thought was like it's so basic, but like it's good. Punk headbutts MJF's balls with his bloody face, but like ended up actually just being on the thigh. Punk starts to whip MJF with the chain. Then he takes the chain, he starts to pound MJF's hand. Punk goes for GTS, but it's blocked, and then MJF locks in the his armbar.
Soul of the
Um,
Earth, I think it's called.
Salt of the earth, yeah. Punk then counters into the Anaconda Vice. MJF goes for Heat Seeker. Punk throws him off. Punk wraps the chain around his knee and he hits a Shining Wizard. And now MJF is busted open. Punk wraps the chain around the eyes of MJF. And then he's just beating the crap out of MJF around ringside. And then Punk wraps the chain around his knee again. Goes to hit Max's face against the ring steps, but he dodges. And then Punk hits the ring steps instead. Um, they go back into the ring. Punk tries to hit the GTS, but he can't stand on his injured leg. And then MJF just starts to work on the knee a bit. MJF goes for a tombstone on the apron, but Punk counters into his own tombstone that he hits on the apron. And then Punk wraps the chain around his elbow, and he took way too long. Like you knew MJF was moving out of the way, which he did. The Punk misses with like the chain around his elbow. Um, MJF pulls out the thumbtacks from the ring, and then I don't like thumbtacks, so this was gonna make me cringe. And then they tease back, like sending each other into the tacks before they go top rope, and Punk is gonna go for the Pepsi plunge onto the thumbtacks, and then this was my spot of the match. MJF superplexes Punk onto the thumbtacks, and CM Punk landed on his ass. That must have hurt because like it
Yeah.
wasn't even the back, it was his ass. All of those tacks landed on his ass. That was like oof. MJF ripped the dog collar off, like the chain off from it, and then starts beating on it, and then they have to reattach that. And then he calls for Wardlow to come out, which he does, and then says, "Give him the ring." And then Wardlow says, "I can't find the ring." So like this was Wardlow turning face here, and then Max is just yelling at Wardlow, and then Punk pulls MJF towards him, hits the GTS. MJF falls onto the tacks. Wardlow's like, "Oh, this is where the ring was." And then you hear Wardlow go, "Oops."
Yeah, it's such the best grin on his face when that
Yeah, with
happened.
such a smug eating grin on his face. He puts the ring down and then gives it basically just gives the ring to Punk and then walks away. And then MJF or Punk pulls MJF up and then MJF just spits into Punk's face and he just decks him with the ring for the win. 26 minutes. Whew, man, that was a good
This,
match.
yeah, this was so much fun to watch. So much, just like we knew we were gonna get a lot of violence with this, and this match did not disappoint. Love the spots they did with like just like the pulling and the work they did with the dog collar chain. They
Mhm.
really made like the most of it, and really just continuing the story with MJF and Wardlow really just made this match look overall really amazing. The only thing I would say is I don't know if the attacks were necessary for this match because the chain was already doing like so much when it came to like busting them up. But I wouldn't say it took away from the match. I think overall it was as violent as we all wanted it to be, and even more so, which was just super fun.
Uh, I didn't mind the tax. I personally actually don't really like tax, but in this case, I didn't mind it. Thought it was fine. Gave like another dynamic to it. They wanted to make their spots different, but they already have the dog collar, so I can understand where you're coming from with that. I guess maybe they wanted to be a little bit different from Cody and Brody Lee.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's like my only opinion from it, but it was such a good match, and they gave it a lot of time too. I enjoyed it a lot. It wasn't my favorite though, but like I did enjoy this match. So next up, I think this match probably was the second worst match. No, maybe
Uh, I
no. This had to. I think this had to be the second worst match on the card. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker DMD for the women's championship match. Like I say it's the second worst match, but like that's not me trying to knock on it because like all the other matches were just really good except for that TBS one. But all the other ones were really good. Like this one just like if you compare it to the other matches that were on the show, I don't think it like lived up to it.
yeah. Overall, I say like as a match, this one would be the second worst, but there's another match down the card, the trios match. Not a fault of its own. I just blame the build for that match, which we'll get to later. That I blame that I just didn't care at all about it, which kind of like dampened the entire experience of that match. But as as just looking at the match, this one for the women's championship, I agree with you. It was the second worst.
So the match starts off with like chain wrestling, and I don't normally mind chain wrestling. I mean, I am a wrestling fan, so like it is nice to see. But like the way they started off, it just felt a little bit too slow for me. For for them not liking each other, like because the build for this match was that they did not like each other. At Thunder Rosa does not like Britt Baker, and Britt Baker's just like you're just jealous of me, like with her snobby attitude. Like They started off with chain wrestling. I did not think that that fit. I think if you don't like the person, your goal is to try to like beat them up almost immediately, especially for a championship match. And like they've fought like many times already before. Like so, I don't know. I felt like it started off a little bit too slow. Baker gets heat onto Rosa. Rosa hits a nice German suplex on Baker. Rosa got a few offensive moves in, and then Baker hits some suplexes of her own. Rosa hits, they called it a superplex. I mean, it was just like, I guess it was like a mini superplex because it was only from the second rope and not the top rope. And then hits a neck breaker into a sliding Larry and only gets a 2 count. Britt goes for lockjaw, but it gets countered into a back suplex. My spot of the match was Thunder Rosa goes to the top rope, and then Britt goes up with her and then does the avalanche air raid crash. They trade tombstone attempts, and then Thunder Rosa finally hits hers. But Rebel distracts the ref. They toss the belt in, and Britt Baker curb stomps Rosa onto the belt. Thunder Rosa kicks out at 2 because, like I said earlier, belt shots just don't mean anything anymore. And then this is also where I go on my Tony Schiavone rant right here. It's just like, why is Tony not complaining about Britt Baker cheating like he does with all the other heels? Like, if this was literally any other match with any other heel, Tony Schiavone would be like, that's not right. You shouldn't be bringing the belt into that. They're cheating. But Britt Baker does it and he stays silent. And then a bunch of angry faces that I make for that. Thunder Rosa counters Lockjaw into her own Lockjaw. And then Rosa has a different submission onto Baker, and then I forgot what the submission was, but Britt Baker taps out, and then once again, Rebel is distracting the ref. Tony, still quiet. Just saying. So Thunder Rosa goes outside, spears Rebel, and then clotheslines Jamie Hayter. And then she comes back into the ring, gets hit by the curb stomp, and Britt Baker wins. And then JR calls it completely correctly too much outside interference. And Tony Schiavone is silent.
Yeah, I was not that much of a fan of this match. Like, I agree with you when you said in the beginning it was it was a slow start, and I don't feel like they really picked it up any part of the match like way through. I guess their way of picking it up was just having the interference at the end, which I didn't want to see. I wanted to see these two fight more because we've already seen really good matches between Baker and Thunder Rosa, but this one just seemed like a really standard match they probably should have had before. I mean, nothing about this really seemed like pay per view level for like what happened. It just seemed like a pretty standard like Rampage level match.
My thoughts on it, like I thought this match was okay, like maybe a little bit below average. Definitely not what you would expect from a pay-per-view match. A lot of outside interference, which like you knew it was gonna happen, but I didn't think it would like actually end up affecting the match, but it did, and that's what I don't like. Excuse me. Um, I thought I thought this was the time that they were gonna have Thunder Rosa win the championship. Um, but the build to it, it was like Thunder Rosa won the tag match, pinned Britt Baker in that tag match on Dynamite or Rampage, I forgot which show, and then just basically had the upper hand. Like she was holding the title up. Like I just thought that she wasn't gonna win, but they did announce that they're having like a special in Texas in like 2 weeks, and I'm pretty sure that's when Thunder Rosa is going to win the title. Like they're going to just have Thunder Rosa win the title in her home state.
Yeah, probably.
So so if so basically what I have to say about this match is that if Thunder Rosa doesn't win the title at her home state where she's able to like conquer the numbers advantage, then this match was not good. But
Yeah.
like if this like because I feel like this match is setting up for Thunder Rosa to win that title. So if Thunder Rosa does not win that title, then I cannot say that this match was good. Like because like overall this match, all this match is doing is just setting up for Thunder Rosa to win in 2 weeks. So I don't. Like, I don't know why you just don't, I guess, have someone else face Baker here and then just have Thunder Rosa win like in 2 weeks. Maybe they just want it to make it look like Thunder Rosa is like really fighting the odds, but like I don't know. I mean, the match was like okay. I mean, I wasn't. It wasn't like yeah.
J-
I said it earlier. It was second worst
just
match,
like, yeah,
but like all the
really
other matches were
meh.
just way too good. We've got or next up we've got John Moxley versus Brian Danielson. This was the match I was looking forward to the most. So they start off with Chain Wrestling, much better than the Britt Baker Thunder Rosa one, if I want to throw in my opinion there. So they both end up spilling to the outside when they were locked up, and they both slap each other really hard. Danielson does his kicks, and then Mox blocks one of like the one to the head, and then instead he gets hit in the ribs, and then that's when Danielson starts to focus on the ribs. Danielson goes for a diving headbutt but misses. Danielson has a guillotine locked in, but Mox is able to power out. Moxley sends Danielson outside and goes for a tope, but Danielson dodges and goes for his own tope, and they brawl outside. Moxley's pouring blood at this point. Danielson also looks like he is bleeding, but I couldn't tell if he was actually like if it was his own cut or if it was just Moxley's blood that was on him. They did an avalanche back suplex onto from Danielson onto Moxley, which I put down as my spot of the match. Danielson has a dragon sleeper applied, but Moxley escapes. Mox goes for his own sleeper, and then that is countered by Danielson, and then they just trade counters, and then Mox locks in an armbar before Danielson counters that one, and then gets a label lock. They both start kicking each other in the head, and then Moxley starts doing the like Danielson stomps to Danielson's head, and then he gets a bulldog choke locked in. Danielson escapes, hits a Busaiku knee, which is was his old finish in WWE. Um, Moxley kicks out, so Danielson now stomps on Moxley's head, and then locks in the triangle, and then Danielson is just like elbowing and like trying to do like precision attacks on Moxley's head, and Moxley just like while still in the triangle just flips over, gets Danielson's shoulders on the mat, even though technically Danielson's right shoulder was still up from the mat, but I guess we'll ignore that. And the ref counts three, and Moxley wins with while still in the triangle, just rolls up Danielson like that. Danielson is not happy, and then he starts pushing the ref, and the ref says that Moxley is the winner. They start fighting each other, and then William Regal comes out and then separates both of them, and then Regal gives a big slap to John Moxley, and then a little headbutt, and then somehow that calms down John Moxley, and then Danielson's just laughing at Moxley after he got slapped, and then Regal turns around and then slaps the shit out of Danielson. Oh man, my voice cracked bad there. Slaps the shit out of Danielson, and then Regal tells both of them to shake hands, and then they do, and then I think they are a team now. This was a great match. This was my favorite match.
I was very happy with this match and how it played out. It was, even though I don't necessarily consider Mox to be like too much of like a technical guy, I think he worked really well with Ryan Danielson as we all expected it to be. I thought like just the overall hard hittingness of this was just incredible. And honestly, my favorite part of this entire pay per view, William Regal coming out, I was so happy for what it meant just because on screen he's just like an amazing like commissioner type role. He could play that do that like so well. And I also knew behind the scenes he's like apparently like a great trainer for like all the younger guys. So I knew that this was like just a perfect signing for AEW. Like not just have someone like not just like another wrestler, but like also someone who could help out like a lot behind the scenes.
I just loved William Regal's facial expressions as he was coming to the ring. He's just like he had that look, just like the fuck are these guys doing? What the hell? What is this? They were just so funny to me.
That
Oh man, like I'm very hyped for this. I wonder. Danielson said they wanted to add in here. It's like very much looking forward to them teaming together.
yeah, yeah. Overall, I consider this like either my second favorite. I'd consider this my second favorite match of the night. I thought just yeah, everything specifically like what Danielson was able to do throughout the match really just elevated this, and yeah, this did feel like just including like Mox really did make this feel like a pay-per-view level match, and was really just a fun time throughout the entire thing.
It was such. I enjoyed this match. What was your spot of the match? I felt like it had to be the Avalanche suplex, but I don't know. It might have been something different.
Yeah, well, the Avalanche backdrop, yeah, that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I think that one was the best one. I mean, if we're not talking about Regal showing up at the end of the match,
No, no, no. That's not a part of the match.
I
It's called
guess
spot of the match. All right.
spot of the segment. I mean, I did like Mox also just kind of like mimicking what Danielson did, kind of like with those little jumping jacks and also just doing the stomps to the head. I just thought like because Danielson has been doing such a good job as a heel. I forgot he was actually a baby face at one point. It's just like really, really good feeling to him for him to get like a taste of his own medicine, but that could also just be me.
I think Danielson's supposed. Yeah, he's definitely more heelish, but I think they wanted him just to be like a tweener.
Yeah.
But I'm not too sure. All right. Next up, Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy versus Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Sting in a Tornado Trios match. Sorry. Excuse me. Uh, so Darby goes straight for Andrade, and then they're almost basically just brawling everywhere. I can't keep track. They put a trash can on Jose, the assistant, and all I can think about is why Jose, man, don't do this to him. And then they just sit him down on a chair with the trash can over him, and then Darby Allin just wipes him out. And I was like, oh, that's gonna hurt. Andrade wipes out everyone after, and then Hardy and Cassidy are beating down Sting. Sting no sells that, and then he smacks people around with trash cans. Sammy hits his double springboard cutter on Isaiah Cassidy, which that was pretty early that they hit that. Huh? That was my first thought when I saw that. Andrade hits Darby with the double stomp when Darby was stuck on the Tree of Woe. I haven't seen that spot in a while. That's like I that spot makes no sense to me. Like I enjoy it, but it makes no sense to me. Like
Yeah.
why is someone like positioning themselves like that to get hit? Like it's so dumb, but it's such a great visual to see. So counterintuitive, I guess. Uh, they start to fight in the crowd, and then basically all of the AHFO come out and they start beating down the faces. Butcher starts to hit Darby Allin against the railings and in the like that's in the stands. Sammy and Isaiah Cassidy are fighting on the entrance, and then Sammy hits the Spanish Fly off the top of the entrance through the table, and I think Isaiah Cassidy got hurt in that because they were checking on him like a lot to make sure. Like I watched the replay, it didn't seem like anything happened to him, so maybe he just got out of breath or something. The wind knocked out of him, and that's what they were checking up on him. But hope he's fine. Butcher and Blade stack up 4 tables, and then Sting fights off the Butcher and the Blade. And Andrade hits Sting in the head with something I couldn't tell what it was, and then a low blow next. So then here's my spot of the match, and there's only one reason why this is my spot of the match, okay? And not the Spanish Fly off the entrance. So the spot of the match is Andrade is set up on the table, and Sting dives off the ledge of like that entrance onto Andrade through the 4 tables. And the only reason that's spot of the match is because Sting is like 63.
Yeah.
The only reason. Like I was not expecting a 63-year-old guy to do that. That's like I would never want him to do that. It's just too insane to do, especially with his like neck issues and like spinal issues. Like I would never want him to do that. So Matt Hardy tries to go for a twist of fate with the chair wrapped around Darby Allin, and then Darby Allin fights him off. And then this one is just too funny. Darby Allin goes for the coffin drop, and like on first look, when I saw it happen in real time, I wrote down, I'm pretty sure Darby Allin missed that, but he still got
Yeah.
the win. And then they showed the replay, and he totally
It
missed.
was from a
It
worse
was
angle too. I was
oh
like, what was who decided to do that camera replay? Like the camera angle for that
yeah, it was
replay.
like it was so funny too. Like he missed. Like he did not land it at all. It was a clear miss. Darby
Yeah,
Allin hit all the mat. Didn't even hit anything of Hardy. Just hit the whole fucking floor.
like the first angle was like down pretty low, so you could kind of guess like, oh, maybe he got like some of it. But then they do like a top down angle where you could specifically see like none of Darby landed on Matt. Like if anything,
It was
Darby
just
like
his
finished
head.
himself.
Like Darby just like the only thing that hit Matt Hardy was Darby's head on his chest.
Yeah,
And
I
that
was
was it.
like, okay,
Duty Tornadoes. And the best part was that the commentators had to pretend like Darby Allin hit Matt Hardy. And you can just hear Excalibur see the replay, and he's just in his head, he's just like, Darby fucking missed, bro. Like, how am I
yeah,
supposed? Like, everyone just saw Darby missed. How am I supposed to spin it like Darby just hit the guy?
yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
my.
god.
Uh, overall, I'd say this match. I thought it was very messy. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I was not a fan. The build for this, the AHFO is the least cared about thing I could think of. So the fact that they got like the pay per view spot and outnumbered their opponents because like they had the entire squad coming out. They outnumbered them like 2-1, and they still completely lost. Like, wasn't even like a close match. Like, no one in the AHFO got a good spot in. They were just getting their asses kicked. So they're bringing down like 6 men, and then we see like how messy the spots like were getting. I had a hard time keeping track of what was going on, especially in the beginning when they just decided to beat the hell out of Jose. And then like
Say, man.
Sammy, who he was doing pretty good in the beginning, but just kind of disappeared like from midway to the end after that Spanish fly spot. I was like,
Like he wiped both of themselves out.
yeah, yeah, but my God, he just like completely disappeared from the like. It felt like half the match it was gone. Like at
It
least from
was like
my
a 13
perspective.
minute match. So
Yeah,
it wasn't
so
that long of a match.
the
I'm
champ.
surprised it actually was only 13 minutes. Like they literally just like this match was just for spots. That was it.
It felt like for me, it felt like it dragged a lot. And
Yeah,
just
I
seeing
see that.
like a 4-on-2 match going off in like the stands where they couldn't get like a good camera angle to like really show everything that was going on except when like Sting was able to do the dive, which was really impressive. But overall, I thought this match was a mess. Overall,
The
I
only reason that I have this match better than the women's championship match was because of those two spots, that Spanish fly off the entrance and the Sting dive. Like, because those two spots, you remember those two spots, right?
yeah, and we remember
What
nothing
do you,
of the
yeah,
women's
I do
match.
not like if you told me to reenact what happened to that Thunder Rosa Britt Baker match, I would have no idea what to tell you because none of those spots stuck in my head.
The spot
Like,
of outside interference is in my head,
yeah,
in like
besides that, but like,
the rage section of my brain is it's there.
yeah. So, I mean, I guess. as heels when I think about it. That's what you want to do is like get people mad for. It's still too much outside interference,
Yeah.
but these two spots in like this trios match was why I ranked it higher in my eyes. But like, yes, so this was not very good. Like it was it was literally just a spot fest,
Yeah,
and there was no logic behind it.
and I can't say what's going to happen to AHFO. I'm hoping they eventually break up and just end this and have everyone
Yeah.
go on their way. I also just note that TH2 was not here, just kind of like reminding me that yeah, they're probably like out of the company.
Well, I know Angelico is hurt,
Oh, okay.
and Jack Evans is some I don't know what happened to him. He had some issues in Mexico. That was last I heard of him.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Hopefully he's doing better.
All right. So main event: Adam Cole versus Adam Page, AEW World Championship. Page has control in the start before Cole counters and elbows Page, but Page returns fire with a vicious punch to the head. Page throwing Cole around into the barricade. Page hits arm on the ring post, and then Cole takes advantage. Page does his moonsault on the outside, goes for the buckshot, but Cole goes out of the ring. Page hits a nice Liger bomb on Cole. And then I remember this part. JR asks, "What's the difference between a power bomb and a Liger bomb?" And Excalibur says that the Liger bomb is when you sit down and then you cover the shoulders with your legs. I was just like, huh, okay. I didn't know there was a difference. All right, thanks for explaining that. Like, at least now I know that Excalibur isn't just saying random crap.
The benefits of having a mark on commentary.
Yeah. So here's my spot of the match. Page goes for a moonsault off the top rope, and then Cole super kicks him right in the head in midair as he's hanging upside down. Like that was pinpoint right in the head. That was a good spot for me. Cole goes for like the Shawn Michaels super kick, and then Page counters with a dead eye for a 2 count. They trade shots with each other. Page hits a tombstone pile driver for Cole for another 2 count. Page with a deadlift German suplex, and then Cole hits him with the Ushigoroshi. I'm not sure what they call that. Um, like the Ushigoroshi is when like Cole has them up and then he drops their shoulder or neck onto his knee. That's what I only know the Japanese name for it. I don't know what they were calling it. Page goes for an avalanche fall away slam almost where he just like rotates with Cole. Red Dragon comes out to distract Page and Cole super kicks his head. Cole then hits the Panama Sunrise on the floor. Page kicks out at 2, obviously. I wrote that as kind of like a sarcastic thing in there. Another Panama Sunrise is countered by Page. Red Dragon distracts the ref, and Cole hits a low blow and then hits a Panama Sunrise and hits the boom, but Page still kicks out. So finishers don't mean anything either. Really huge super kick on Page and then goes for the boom again, but Page hits a lariat. They both go for their finishers, but they're countered each time. Page hits a deadeye through the table that the Red Dragon set up a little bit beforehand. Dark Order comes out to check on Page, and then they start fighting with Red Dragon. Page hits a buckshot on Cole. Cole grabs the bottom rope to break up the pin. Page ties Cole to the ropes with his belt and then starts super kicking him a couple times. And then Page lowers the boom and then hits the buckshot for the win. 25-47 match. I thought this was a really fun main event. I thought like it let the people go home happy. I enjoyed it. It was I don't think it was like the best match. It wasn't the worst match. I thought it was a match there. I never Adam Cole had a chance of winning, and because I never thought Adam Cole had a chance of winning. When I saw Adam Cole hit his finishing move, I was just like, oh, well, looks like Paige is kicking out. Like I never thought Adam Cole was winning throughout this entire thing, which I think is really bad.
Yeah, same. I mean, like overall, I especially think like halfway through the match, like specifically when Red Dragon came out, that's when like the match really picked up. Like I think also my spot of the match was like the moonsault to the super kick. That was like super impressive, especially like how Cole was able to get that type of accuracy.
Mm.
But overall, I think it was like the latter half of the match that like really picked things up and really got me
Yeah.
invested in
Yep.
it. And a bit of interesting stuff happening towards the end. I was surprised when Paige pushed off like Alex Reynolds, I think, like when Dark Order came out to check on him. And
Mm.
then he tied when he was tying Cole when Paige was tying Cole's hand to the rope with his belt. I mean, I've heard I mean my audio was a bit messed up for this, but I heard that the crowd was beginning to turn a bit on Paige. That I didn't
Okay.
really notice too much because of audio,
No.
but
I thought it was fine. He got his revenge on Cole there. I thought it was pretty poetic because like if you like the build to it, or like the quote that they kept using over was um Adam Page kept saying that the um something about like Cole hitting the dirt or the grave goes boom from a buckshot, and then that's exactly what he did. He hits Cole's move, which they called the boom, and then hits the buckshot right after. I thought that was pretty poetic, I guess, because it was like a callback to what his quote was that they kept using over and over as a build to it.
yeah, yeah. I think like overall, yeah, really fun. Right person won in the end.
Oh yeah, I think MJF is going to be the one that takes the title off Hangman Page.
Yeah, I think he kind of has to. I'm trying to think of like the other heels in the company that would be able to take it off, but yeah, I think it has to be MJF.
Yeah. All right. So that was overall, I think it was a great show. I enjoyed almost all of it. Of course, there were some parts that I did not like, and but for the most part, I enjoyed the show. Like it was a very good show. It entertained me. It did everything it was supposed to do. It makes me keep wanting to come back. So I very much enjoyed the show, and I'm looking forward to Double or Nothing.
Yeah, overall, I say I really enjoyed it. Definitely worth the time. A few matches I wasn't a fan of, but overall the matches that were really good definitely like outweigh it. So I definitely would recommend this to anybody who hasn't seen it yet. Um,
Even though we just spoiled everything.
yeah, there's a difference between
I mean, whatever.
watching the
Yeah,
thing.
there is.
But yeah, I mean, okay, controversial. I don't know if this is gonna be like a hot take or a controversial take or what, but I am, even though I think it's pretty safe to say that this was definitely better than last year's Revolution pay per view. I still think All Out of 2021 and Full Gear 2021 were both better pay per views than this, but that's pretty intense thing to compare it to, given like how big those pay per views turned out to be.
Yeah. I thought it was a fine pay-per-view, and like the other paper, like I'm just gonna compare it to like the three pay-per-views that they have this year instead of last year's stuff,
Ah, okay.
just to see how they pan out.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Double or Nothing. The Double or Nothing pay per views always turn out to be like
Yeah, that's their
really
big
good,
one, I
really
think.
consistently good.
Yeah. All right. So that was our review of AEW Revolution. We didn't do Dynamite and Rampage last week. Both of them were very good shows. I would recommend to go out of your way to watch that if you haven't. Um, but yeah, we will be reviewing Dynamite and Rampage this week. So tune in next time.
See you guys next time.